Hello and welcome. My name is Al Barrows, and this is UFO Disclosure, the podcast that's meant to show an average person's reaction to all the UFO, UAP news from everywhere and anywhere. So I personally find UFO reports that are documented before the official UFO era to be very fascinating. I came across this 1916 report on alien cases. It's about somebody that saw something that was definitely technologically out of place. This story takes place in Aldeburgh, England, during the turbulent years of the First World War. It was almost noon, the time when household routines peak before the lunch break. In her terrace house, Mrs. Agnes Whitland felt the air getting stuffy and decided to get some fresh air. She climbed the stairs. Reaching the upstairs room, she went to the window and opened it. The sea breeze might have brought a moment's relief. Her gaze swept the street below, left, right, nothing out of the ordinary. A scene so mundane it almost made her give up and return to her chores. But something kept her there. A strange feeling, premonition, an invisible force that compelled her to look again, to fix her gaze on the landscape that seconds before had seemed so uninteresting. And it was in that second look that the impossible materialized. Hovering silently just above the roof level of her house, about 30 feet off the ground, a structure appeared that didn't belong to that time, or perhaps even that world. It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't a balloon. It was nothing she could recognize. It was a circular, solid-looking platform surrounded by a railing that gleamed metallically in the sun. And on it, human figures, 8 to 12 men. She would later lean towards the higher number of 12. They stood there motionless, tightly gripping the shiny railing. The clarity of the sight was total, allowing Mrs. Whitland to absorb disturbing details. The men wore uniforms of a dark, almost naval blue, and small, soft, round hats fitting snugly on their heads, resembling those of sailors. Their faces were ordinary, surprisingly common, like those of any passerby. But there was something terribly wrong. They were absolutely still, staring like mannequins, indifferent to their surroundings, indifferent to her, the witness observing them from the window. The main railing was polished brass, and a second railing, also brass, ran lower, at about knee height. The platform itself, its composition, was a mystery to her. It looked solid, about 12 inches thick, and the image that came to her mind was that of a bathing raft that were common at that time. But what truly consumed her was the deafening silence. No vibration, no engine noise, nothing. Mrs. Whitland desperately searched for a propulsion source. She looked up sideways and even in between the legs of the crew in the center of the platform. But the center was empty. There was no engine, no propellers, nothing to explain how that thing defied gravity so easily and silently. The platform had emerged from the direction of the Marsh Gate, a known landmark. It came floating directly down the road, maintaining its altitude with disturbing stability. When it was almost over Mrs. Whitland's house, instead of continuing straight or colliding, it executed a maneuver that defied known aerodynamic logic. It turned at a perfect right angle, 90 degrees with a precision that suggested intelligent control. It avoided the house and proceeded through an airspace between the railway hotel and the sheds of the train yard. It brushed past the roof of a two-story shed, a structure nearly 25 feet high, gliding over it with minimal margin before continuing its impassive flight over the station yard. Its course was now towards Alderburgh Lodge and the distant trees about a quarter of a mile away. Mrs. Whitland continued to watch, fascinated and stunned, as the enigmatic platform shrank in size, becoming a dot in the sky. Finally, it disappeared behind the trees or the building in the distance. She had the strong impression that the object was heading straight out towards the North Sea. The entire sequence, from its appearance to its disappearance, lasted about 5 minutes. The speed comparable to a man running, according to her, fast but not extraordinary. What was extraordinary was everything else. 5 minutes that encapsulated a profound mystery. So I found this story fascinating because it occurred in 1916 during World War I, over a century ago, and it involved not your usual disc-like UFO craft, but a silent flying platform with no visible propulsion system, making right-angle turns at 90 degrees that would be challenging even by today's standards of technology. And the 8 to 12 men that Mrs. Whitfield observed on board seemed to be wearing some sort of a naval uniform. Could they have been time travelers from a future naval force here to observe what was going on during World War I? You never know. My name is Al Barrows. This has been UFO Disclosure. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.